We have had the new update for Power BI Desktop in May 2025. And today I'm going to tell you all there is to know about one of the components of this update. I'm talking about the formatting changes introduced for the list slicer. Over the past week I've played with it and there are some things that I like, some things that I don't like, and today I'm going to share them with you and you can make an informed decision for yourself. First, let me show you how the slicer looks like. We have a top level called filters. Then we have a middle level that contains area, discount type and industry sector. And then we have the values that we can select. How many times have you found yourself in the following situation? Let's say all the levels are collapsed and you are here and you only want to select one value from the area. And instead of pressing on the chevron, you click on filters. You click on the name. Well, everything is now selected. So you need to deselect it, click on the chevron, go to area, and then select, let's say, area 1. Now this is time consuming, but most of all, it's annoying because you are used from any other app to click on the name and expand rather than select. Well, Microsoft decided to give us a hand and introduce this update. Now if we go in the formatting pane, under slicer settings, you see now we have this option restrict to leaf nodes. This means that you can only make selections on the bottom level, not the middle, not the top. Let me show you how it works. Let's turn it on. And now if you want to select an area, you can select it. But if you want to click and select all areas, all it will do, it will collapse. Or if we click on discount type where we have no selection, it will expand that middle level. And then we can make our selection. And of course, if we hold Control, we can select more than one option. One other thing that you could do to make it easier to make multiple selections, turn off the single select option. And of course, now you can select a lot easier what you want to select. This is a nice feature. First of all, because of course, when you click on the level, it will expand it. But just because we have this option, it doesn't mean it's perfect, because you might find yourself in the following situation, where you want to select the whole middle level for just one selection in a different one. Let's say you have area 1 and you want to select all industry sectors. So let's go to areas, let's select area 1, collapse this, and we want to select all industry sectors. We need to select them individually, which is not necessarily ideal because you might find yourself in a situation where you have, 20 filters. That's a bit too much. But Microsoft helped us again, and it gave us a new option to create those selections. If you go to more options, click on it, you expand it. Now you see we have a new option called paste. What does that mean? It means that you can copy a list that you create in a document or a notepad or an Excel file and paste it here. Let me show you how it works. I've created the list here in a simple notepad. It contains the top level, the middle level, and the value. But there are 3 things you need to consider. First of all, any space between a top level and a sub level needs to be a tab, not a single space like right here. Second of all, the text is case sensitive. So for example, over here you see that I've put area in capital letters when we know exactly that area is sentence case in our slicer. And the third one, well, give me a second and you'll see exactly what I mean. Let's copy this. Let's go to Power BI Desktop, click on the 3 dots and paste it. First of all, area 1 is not selected. Second of all, if we look in the discount type, we only have the blue option selected, not the green. And third of all, well, industry sector is not selected at all. So let's fix the first 2 and then I'll explain how we can fix the third one. Let's go back to the notepad. First of all, let's go area, press tab. Let's select the space between discount type and green and press tab. Let's copy it again. Let's put it to the test, paste. Perfect. First of all, area 1 is selected. Second of all, we have blue and green. But we still don't have the industry sector. Now you see, a moment ago we set up this visual to only restrict to lift nodes, which means we can only select at the bottom level, not the middle level. So here's what you need to do. Turn on the single select again, and then turn off the restrict to lift nodes. And now let's test it again. 3 dots, paste, perfect. Exactly what we wanted to do. So see, so far we have 2 options regarding how we can make our selections. Each one has its pros and its cons, and honestly, I don't know exactly if I would recommend one or the other. Option 1 solves some problems, option 2 solves another problem, but in theory, neither of them is quite complete. But depending on your situation or what your users need, you might find that one of the options is the perfect solution. The next formatting options are related to the appearance of the slicer rather than the selection. First of all, let me show you what options we have, and we'll start with the callout values because technically all the selections that we're making there are very similar to the selections that we'll make to the next options that I'll show you after. So, let's go to the format pane and open the callout value section. Now here you need to know about 2 things. First of all, you can make the selection for all the series, or you can make a selection for each individual level. Namely, in our case, filters, attributes, and value. Second thing that you need to know, you can make changes for all the states. Then for rest state, which is something like this, where nothing is selected. And then you can make changes for hover, when you hover over each option, and then for press and select it. Now let's make the changes for all series for the rest state. With the all series selected, open the state, select rest, and you could do 2 changes here. First of all, you can reduce the size to 10, and then you can change the color to, let's say, a lighter gray. Next, you could change the values for state hover, and instead of black you could select a darker gray, and the size would be 11, so when you hover over it creates this impression that the text is coming towards you. And finally, let's make the changes for press and selected, which will be the same, black color, and the text will be size 11, selected, size 11, black color. First of all, if we select it, it's black. If we hover over, it turns from a lighter gray to a darker gray. This is what we wanted. These are the basic settings that we already have in all the other buttons or navigation menus. And speaking of navigation menus, if you want to see 4 cool ways in which you can create navigation menus for your reports, well then watch this video right here. Now coming back to our update, you might have noticed that over here we have an advanced option. Let me show you what it means. If you turn it on, now instead of 2 options we have 4 options. Series, obviously the same, you can apply it to all filters, attributes or value. Then you have the selection state, which you have all, obviously, selected, which is area in our case, unselected, discount type and industry sector in this case, and mixed. Now mixed looks like this. Let's open discount type and select black. This is mixed state because it contains selected options and deselected options. Next we have expansion state, which is pretty simple, or expanded, discount type in our case, collapsed, areas in our case. And finally, we have interaction state with all, hover, press, rest, and disabled. Now let's say you want to make your changes just for the middle level and you want to showcase that the mixed selection is applied. So for example, area, you'll like to keep it black, and for discount type, you'd like a different color to make it clear that only a part of the options are selected. First of all, you need to select the series, in our case, attribute. And then you need to select mixed state, and then you can make your change from black to purple. Excellent. You see, the settings are not applied to filters as well, because we did not make that selection. If, for example, we want filters as well to showcase a difference in our selection, but we don't want to use the same color, what we can do, instead of attributes, we select filters, and then you select mixed state, and then let's say you want orange, and you want the text to be bold. Now see, for the mixed state, filters will have bold text and it will have an orange color, and discount type will have purple as color. But there is a drawback. Let's expand the discount type and you'll see what I mean. We only have purple color because it's in mixed state. We have black selected and everything else is not selected. But let's say we select everything. You would expect the color to turn to black, right? Because now it's selected, it's no longer mixed. Well, that doesn't happen. Let's collapse this. Let's select industry sector as well. You would have expected filters to turn black as well. So this is one of the problems I couldn't find the solution for yet. So when you design your slicer, you need to keep this in mind. Now bear in mind, most of the times user will not do what I just did. Users will make their selections and clear the selection and make a new one, and everything will be perfect, everything works. But you still need to remember there is a possibility it will happen, and I've learned in this lifetime, if there's a 1% chance to happen, it will happen. Now there's another thing that Microsoft decided to give us. For the list slicer, now we can add and use images. What do I mean by that? Well, now you can add images to your list slicer, just like you do with buttons. So over here I have a table with a couple of icons, something that you might think about doing. So you need to select the slicer, go to images, select the series it applies to, and in my case I'll start with filters, and add yourself your image. You can either use a field or you can use a measure. In my case, since I have more than one levels, I have the top level and then a middle level, I will use a measure. A measure that will return me the icon where the name in my table is filters. And it will be this one. Now unfortunately you're not able to see it because my icon is white. But let me make a couple of changes and you'll see exactly how the icon looks like. Now, you understand why the color was white, because they were designed for this background, where on the left hand side I have a darker background. Now, the icon is not visible in its entirety, so you need to play with the image fit. And in this case, it works with normal. See, the icon is now visible in its entirety. In case the icon is too big for your taste, you need to change the image area size, and let's change this to, let's say, 15. 15% works perfect in this scenario. Other settings that you could change for the image, it's saturation, which obviously works best when you have colors in your image, and it will turn your colors to black and white. You can also play with the blur of the image and turn it a bit blurrier or not. In this case, I will keep it to 0. One other setting that you could change again is the position. You can change it from left, let's say, to right, which makes a bit more sense. But this only changed the icon for the filters. What if you want to add something for attributes? For attributes, I have another measure that returns the respective icon based on whether the attribute is area, discount type, or industry sector. So let's go back to our visual, go and select attribute series, and then in the field we will add our new measure. From icons, it will be attributes icon. And you'll see we have a different icon for area, discount type, and industry sector. Now, of course, we still need to change the image fit to normal, change the image area size to 15, and the position from left to right. Now, looking at the visual, I don't really like that we have the icon and the selection icon active. And since we've made some changes on the text to reflect if we have selections or not, we can turn off the selection icon. So we need to go to selection icon, and for all the series, we are turning it off. See, now if we have something selected, it's already visible because we've made the changes to our text, the formatting changes. Now, of course, for the images, you can make the same changes that you can make for text. You can select the series, you can select the state, you can play with the advanced options, expanded, collapsed. For example, for filters, you only want to show the icon when the field is collapsed. With the filter series selected and expansion state all, remove the filters icon. Next, change the expansion state to collapsed, and then you add your icon again. Let's go to icon, filter icons. Now, since the filters are expanded, we can't see the icon. But if we collapse it, we can see the icon. Perfect. Now from here, you can of course play with other options like, let's say, the expand collapse icon. We can change its position to the right, for example. Yeah. Of course, we can say for all the series, in state rest, the color should be light gray. In state hover, it should be a lighter gray. And then turn on advanced for selected state. We want the color to be white as well. Let's put it to the test. Let's select everything, which you can select by clicking the icon now. Perfect, it works. Let's deselect it. It turns to gray. Now let's say for state mixed, you want to change the color as well. So we go to mixed and we have that, let's say this blue. So we'll select only one. Perfect. Now, of course, following the same process, you can make more and more changes and make the slicer fit to your project. Now, because we've moved the chevrons to the right, we can move the icons back to the left. So let's go to filters and change position from right to left. And let's go to attributes and repeat the process. And now you have the icon on the left-hand side. Now, let's say you want a bit more space between the icon and the text itself. You need to go over here to space between image and callout. Let's change this one to say 10 pixels. And you've changed the space between them. But then you might say, well, I would still like to see a checkbox if something is selected or not, but I don't really like the standard ones. What can I do in this case? Well, I have a solution for that as well, and that is using the buttons. Now, if you go to buttons, you'll see you can make the exact same changes. Different series, different selection state, different interaction. Everything is exactly like for images or callout values. Let me show you what I've done. In PowerPoint, I've created myself a couple of backgrounds for rest, hover, selected and mixed. And then I saved them using save as picture and so on and so forth. Coming back to Power BI Desktop, let's start with a clean slate, select the visual, go to images and reset to default so we can remove the icons. Next, go to buttons with all series selected and state all, select fill, expand this. Background image should be the image you created for the button. The fit needs to be fit in our case, not normal. And transparency set to 0, but I don't mean transparency for the image, I mean transparency for the color fill. Perfect. Next, you might want to change two things. One would be the space between buttons, and that can be changed in layout, space between buttons, and let's say 8 pixels. And then of course you might need to play with the size of the visual so it looks perfect. And the second thing you might want to change is the fact that the text covers the checkbox. So for that we need to play with the padding. Let's go back to buttons. Let's choose padding. And over here I have custom, and I will start, let's say, with 30 pixels. That's a bit too low. Let's change it to 40. That is perfect. Now you see, area, discount type, and industrial sector are too much to the right. So what you need to do is go back to layout, indentation, and let's turn this one to 12 pixels, for example. Or maybe even less. We'll go with 5. And the last thing that doesn't look right is the fact that we have the chevron too much to the right. So let's add some padding space to the right as well. Let's add 10 pixels and see how it goes. Perfect. Let's make the visual ever so slightly smaller. This looks much better. Now with all these settings made, we need to import the other background images. So, all series, state hover. And over here, we need to go to fill, and we will choose a different image. And here we'll choose hover. Image fit will be fit. Transparency for the fill color is 100%. Let's put it to the text. Perfect so far. Next, let's go to press. And for press again, select another image, browse, it will be this one, the same as selected, fit, transparency to 0 to the fill color, and if you press it, it changes. Excellent. And now let's change the last state, selected, let's change the background image from rest to selected, and the image fit will be fit. Let's put it to the test. We selected area, perfect, it works. We select area 1, we select area 2. Excellent, excellent. Everything works just as intended, and of course we have a different state that we have not changed, and that is mixed. So for that we need to turn on the advanced. Of course, let's collapse padding, and the state will be mixed. And series O. Let's go to fill, and for this one we have a different image, which is this one, mixed. Transparency for the fill color, it's 100%. So let's open this and select only a couple of them. Oh, I forgot, we need to change the image fit to fit as well. Perfecto mundo. So see, you can play with the buttons, you can play with everything following this update. But if you want a step-by-step guide on how to use all these formatting options for buttons and create a slick navigation menu, all you need to do is watch this video right here. And if you want access to the exact file I've used in this video, all you need to do is become a channel member. This is Tedian signing off. Until next time, cheerio!